Today we're test driving the all-new Honda Clarity, and we're going to do a fuel economy test to see how well it performs. As you can see right now, I have a full tank of fuel, and on this full tank my fuel range is estimated to be 528 kilometers HV kilometers before I run completely out of fuel. So HV stands for hybrid vehicle. So as a hybrid vehicle, I can drive this 528 kilometers. You'll also notice that I have my battery full as well, and that yields to my EV kilometers, which is 70.3. So essentially, I can drive this car 70.3 kilometers before I run out of charge. As you can see, the vehicle was charged just recently, but we're not going to be driving this as an electric vehicle. We're going to be driving this in hybrid mode, which means that the vehicle will use the gasoline tank to power the engine, as well as use the battery as a complement to power the vehicle as well, rather than doing it strictly on electric vehicle mode. So that's going to be the purpose of this test, and let's get this test started. But before we do that, we're actually going to start by resetting our trip meter. So as you can see, I have my trip meter at the bottom, and I'm just going to reset it right now, and now it reads 0. I'm going to do that with our second trip meter as well, and now they both read 0. We're going to be driving this over the week and see how many kilometers we complete, and after that we'll head to the gas station to see how much it costs to fill up, so stay tuned. We're currently on the highway driving at speeds of 110, and as you can see, we're at the 50 kilometer mark, and we've achieved an average fuel economy of 4 liters per 100 kilometers. This is based purely on highway driving, because we've started our drive on the highway, and we're currently, as I mentioned, at the 50 kilometer mark. So if you drive a lot on the highway, you can expect a highway fuel economy of 3.9 liters per 100 kilometers based on the hybrid vehicle mode. If you do use the electric vehicle mode, you can obviously expect that number to go way down. Now keep in mind that in hybrid vehicle mode, because the vehicle is traveling at higher speeds, the engine's constantly being used to power the vehicle. So 3.9 liters per 100 kilometers is actually a really good fuel economy for a vehicle that's a hybrid, and especially one that's of this size. We're currently at the 400 kilometer mark, and as you can see, our EV kilometers read 0. We have a balance of 111 hybrid vehicle kilometers left, but you will notice that our EV kilometers reach 0, even though we have 2 bars of battery left. That is more so reserve battery energy, just to help the vehicle run as a hybrid vehicle, and so far it's doing a pretty good job. I have spent the past 100 kilometers driving in this hybrid vehicle mode with 0 EV kilometers, and I'm just going to show you the kind of fuel economy we're currently getting. It has gone slightly up from the previous number, but it's not that bad. If you see over here, we're currently doing 4.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty standard for hybrid to do. We're going to keep driving this vehicle in hybrid vehicle mode to show you how the vehicle performs in terms of battery use versus engine use. That way you'll get a better idea of how this vehicle performs as a hybrid. You know, does it use the battery at some point? Does it use the engine at some point? And that'll give you a better idea of how this vehicle powers itself in hybrid vehicle mode. Our test driver has currently set the vehicle to this display mode, which basically shows you the engine versus the battery's use in charging the vehicle, or powering the vehicle also. So as you can see, he's currently moving, and as he does, you'll see as he drives, let's put it at this angle. As he drives, the engine is actually powering the vehicle while charging the battery at the same time. And as he's let go of the gas pedal, the vehicle slows down and charges the battery. You'll notice in the Clarity that when you let go of the gas pedal, regenerative braking is already being applied, which means that the car is naturally slowing down even though you're not applying the brakes, and the car is being charged in the process, or the battery is being charged rather. So I've let go of the gas pedal, and you see that regenerative braking in action. And as I apply the brake stronger, you'll notice that even more regenerative braking is being applied. So one thing I want you to see is when I drive slowly, you do actually see just the battery being used. And this is great in stop and go traffic when you kind of need the vehicle to not use the engine every single time, and it allows your engine to not have to do those high RPMs either when it's starting up or when you start moving. We're currently cruising on the highway, and even though the vehicle doesn't technically have any EV kilometers left, there's still times when it strictly uses the battery power to power the vehicle, just like a hybrid vehicle would. We just spent the week testing the Honda Clarity, and we have some numbers here we'd like to share with you. As you can see, we've driven a total of 455.5 kilometers, and we have our fuel low indicator on. I'm just going to show you the other numbers that we got. As you can see, our average fuel economy, according to the vehicle, is 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Now keep in mind that about 150 kilometers ago, my vehicle did switch to hybrid vehicle mode, so that's because we ran out of EV kilometers, so the vehicle is completely functioning as a hybrid vehicle. When I did have my balance of battery, I was getting as low as 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which is pretty phenomenal for a car of this size. And only when I did run out of EV kilometers was my vehicle purely dependent on the engine to power the vehicle as well as charge the battery. Hence, my fuel economy went a bit up to 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers. My driving conditions have been pretty basic. I haven't had the air conditioning or the heating on at all, but I have had the sound system on the whole time. Also worth considering is the fact that I did about 50% of my driving on the highway and another 50% in the city, just to give you an idea of how I got the numbers that I did. Also worth mentioning is over the past 2 days, we've had a huge snowstorm over here, which has caused me to drive pretty much on snow because we didn't have any snow trucks to clear the roads. This has caused me to use a bit more energy from the vehicle than usual. And hence we had a little bit more battery depletion and a little more gas usage than we usually would had the roads been clear. But overall, the vehicle did a pretty good job of handling the snowy conditions, and I didn't have any issues even driving on patches of ice. It was completely fine. But keep in mind, I do have winter tires equipped on the vehicle. That being said, we're gonna fill up our tank right now and see how much it costs us, and based on that, we'll do some calculations to get a better idea of how much you can expect to spend on a full tank of fuel. As you can see, we spent $36 to fill up 26.5 liters of fuel at a fuel cost of $1.359 per liter. So as you just saw, we spent $36 to fill up 26.5 liters of fuel at a fuel cost of $1.359 per liter. Now I didn't know this before we filled up, but 26.5 liters is actually the fuel capacity of the Honda Clarity, which is also the amount of fuel that we filled up. So essentially we filled up the Clarity from a completely empty tank all the way to its fuel capacity, which is 26.5 liters. So the reason I tell you this beforehand is because it helps us calculate the cost of a full tank. So let's actually do that and calculate our cost of a full tank first. So to calculate the cost of a full tank, we'll take the 26.5 liters, which is the fuel capacity of the Clarity, and multiply that by our local fuel rate in Toronto, Canada, which is $1.359 per liter. So 26.5 liters multiplied by $1.359 per liter gives us $36. So a full tank of fuel, as you saw when we filled up, costs us $36. So to calculate the fuel price across the border in Detroit, USA, we'll take the local fuel rate in Detroit, which is $2.40 per gallon, and multiply that by the fuel capacity of the Clarity, which is 7 gallons. So $2.40 per gallon multiplied by 7 gallons gives us $16.80. So to fill the Clarity up, it would cost $16.80. Now keep in mind that you would have to pay separately to charge the electricity, so please take your electricity bill into consideration when I give you these numbers. Next, what we're going to do is we'll calculate our cost per kilometer to operate this vehicle in Toronto, Canada. In order to do that, we'll take the $36 that we filled up for and divide that by the 455 kilometers that we drove. So $36 divided by 455 kilometers gives us 0.079. So every kilometer in the Clarity costs us 7.9 cents. And finally, we're going to calculate our distance per liter number. And how we're going to do that is we'll take the 455 kilometers that we've driven so far and divide that by the 26.5 liters that we filled up. So 455 kilometers divided by 26.5 liters gives us 17.16 kilometers per liter. So on every liter of fuel, you can expect 17.16 kilometers of driving.